Well, I think the primary impact that we've seen is the rising cost of debt, higher interest rates, and that's affected both existing companies that want to refinance and also the finance for new projects. Actually, by comparison, the inflation has not been particularly negative for the infrastructure sector more broadly, largely because a lot of companies can pass through their costs through their indexation of their tariffs. That does, of course, depend on country and company. Going forward, though, I think it's fair to say that infrastructure is seen as a defensive asset class. So in the future, we still expect infrastructure companies to be able to finance themselves, either for refinance or new projects. Although the cost of debt will rise, and therefore the cost of capital of projects will rise, making some projects more marginal. Well, we've just got through the COVID crisis and the transportation infrastructure industry is now largely stabilised. So really our focus shifts to the European utilities. And in particular those with exposure to gas procurement and more particularly Russian gas procurement due to the high market prices. We've seen downgrades in this sector that are responsible for transporting Russian gas through pipelines, and we've seen particular credit stress for those companies that had Russian gas contracts which they now have to replace. You compare that actually with the power generation utilities, where actually they've done rather well recently. High power prices has meant that their profitability has increased significantly. They will need to give some of that back to governments in the form of taxes and subsidies, but we don't expect overall that will negatively impact their ratings.